Right on. Welcome aboard. It's glad to
Thank
actually
you.
talk to an adult.
So first of all, I got a lot of questions because I've never really met a vegan before in real life, and when I did meet them online, I'd usually ignore them because I fall for the mainstream narrative that you can't be a vegan and actually survive. So I don't want to really jump into that, but you know how it goes. You shaking your head, yes, you know.
Yeah.
So I want to correct the other guy that was on who claimed that he was religious or whatever. There is no religion that practices eating meat except cannibalism.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, uh, in my faith, I'm a Christian. Adam and Eve did not eat meat until after they sinned in the garden. Even the carnivores today, um, even the carnivores today in the Garden of Eden didn't eat each other until after the sin of man. So there's a little word out there.
Yeah. Thank you.
My questions for vegans are: what do you do if everyone does go vegan with the current cattle that's alive?
So are we talking like overnight scenario?
No, I mean over time scenario. I mean, it wouldn't happen
Oh,
overnight,
okay.
obviously.
If I could give you both too, like overnight, we give so many subsidies to fatten these animals up that we could turn that towards the farmers no longer producing more, like not letting them procreate and just caring for the animals for the rest of their lives. Not in cages, but sanctuary settings. And the longest lived ones are like 25 years. So about 20, 25 years, there won't be any more farm animals that we need to care for. That would be overnight scenario, which I really doubt will ever happen. If it was a gradual decrease, the demand for plant products would go up and the demand for animal-based products would drop. So those that produce animal products would reduce their supply because they don't want to lose money. So eventually there'd be so few animals. If majority people were plant-based, we'd probably end subsidies to any kind of animal agriculture and just let those few animals live out their lives on a sanctuary.
Okay, and I mean, why it couldn't be like in Africa? I mean, I don't really know the beginning era of America. I believe there was cows running around and steers and stuff, but like in Africa, you have the water buffalo. That's a
Oh
basic
yeah, wild
animal.
animals are fine. Wild animals are
Yeah,
fine.
I understand, but
Domestic,
like, couldn't cows
okay.
live the same way?
So the problem, are you talking about just like letting them out live in the wild or something?
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
so the issue is if they could survive, the problem is we've kind of bred out things that were advantageous for them to survive in nature and made them overproduce things, which when you're in nature, wasting energy on overproducing milk or eggs is detrimental to surviving because you have to replace those nutrients. So we've unfortunately kind of handicapped all these animals to be dependent on us. So I feel like it would be like leaving a dog in the woods, right? Like there's maybe a chance they'll survive, but the chances are slim.
I don't know about that because in my neighborhood they have feral cats and they do a pretty good job of surviving from the
Yeah.
coyotes.
So you actually bring up another good point, which is that they themselves then will overpopulate as well, and they could potentially cause disease. Although I think they would just die out in the wilderness, and I think that would be cruel. Personally, I don't think anyone would release cows out into the wild because, again, it might even disrupt ecosystems, right? Just releasing some random animal. So I think sanctuaries would be the best case scenario just because they would get all their needs met. They would still have freedom to do their natural tendencies that they still feel they want to do, but they would have their bodily autonomy. They wouldn't have their life taken from them for trivial taste pleasure.
Right. And do vegans eat fish? That's probably a silly question, but you have to understand I don't
That's
understand.
okay. Genuine questions, I have no problem answering. Fish are animals. They are sentient. They have a brain and a central nervous system. So they found that they do suffer when they're pulled out of the water. They're literally suffocating, and in fact, maybe feeling it even more intense because they can't shut down. Like humans have an ability to kind of shut down, and fish do not. They stay conscious through the whole thing until they die.
Right. Even something that's like near its end of its life cycle, like a salmon.
So most animals are harvested when they're like at a quarter of their lifespan because they're more tender, and as animals age, they get more hard and not as flavorful. So, and it's a lot more resources to get animals to an older age, which we already are tight on. So, and on top of that, would you like to be unalive when you're like 80 years old? Even though you've lived a full life, don't you want to continue living as long as you possibly can?
Right.
Yeah.
And what's with the avocados?
Oh, there's something, I've already, Lydia, do you remember? There's something about how they're pollinated. Like they rent
Okay.
out bees to go through the avocado fields to pollinate to make the fruit. But the honey industry is the one that's renting out the bees. And the problem with it is that they push out native pollinators. So not only are the bees enslaved, but the native pollinators are pushed out. And they're even harder to recover once the bees are taken away. Like they're a slow rebuild into their natural robustness of pollinating. So using bees is detrimental to the bees and the environment. But a lot of vegan trolls or anti-vegan trolls like to throw avocados and almonds in our faces because almonds use a lot of water for the trees, but nothing compared to dairy or even beef. So it's just all misinformation out there.
Right. And do vegans eat honey?
No, again, the bees are exploited, right? They're gathering it for themselves for food, and then we're giving them either a substitute or we're burning their hive before winter.
Okay. The only problem I have with that one is, as a natural medicine, you can use honey as to help you with allergy, like during allergy season, like local honey.
Yeah, we have alternatives for that. I do understand what you mean, but we have other ways. I don't know what they are off the top of my head, but there's other ways to combat allergies and becoming more adjusted to certain places. But using someone, first of all, it is pretty low on the totem as far as my concerns because the animals that are getting their throats slit are my main concern. But bees are still a sentient being. They can do math. They have preferences. It's still not okay to enslave them just because it gives you a benefit. I was saying it earlier. Slavery of people was a benefit to like poor people or disenfranchised people that weren't enslaved because it brought down the price of goods, right? It made things more accessible for them. But human slavery is still immoral, even though it brought good to some people.
Right. And another thing, I gotta watch how I say this because of the algorithms, but are vegans normally anti-Vs?
Anti what? Bees?
Anti-Vs, the letter V.
I don't know what that means unless you just mean I'm
Vax.
against the letter.
Vax.
Oh, so
I
it's
mean,
more
being
about.
that they have animal blood and they're tested on animals and stuff. I mean,
See, I don't know about the efficacy of that. I'm pretty sure most are not. But if it's life-saving medicine, then I would say take the medicine, but make a fuss or demand that there be an alternative, because that's the only way that change happens is when people speak up and say, "I prefer to not have this, and I would like some choice." Because not having that choice to turn away from exploiting someone, to me, is an injustice.
that's true, but they do use these. They do use these Vs on animals to test them, and that's how they have animal DNA in them.
Did you have something to say, Lydia? Okay. I personally think that people should be vaccinated. I don't know if that's going to do something to my algorithm, but I do think that people should be considerate of those that cannot, their immune systems are weak and need protection, because that's what it's for. It's for decreasing how many people the ailment, whatever it is, can stick to certain people so it doesn't bounce to someone who is of a weaker immune system that can't defend itself. So that's the whole point of it. I do think it's kind of a personal thing because it is crossing your bodily autonomy, but I do
But
think it's the right thing to do.
Do we understand that most of the cancers and diseases out there actually come from the hormones that they let the animals eat?
No, most of the diseases that we are suffering from are from consumption of animals.
Right.
So, okay, not just from medicine though. It's directly from our food.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the growth hormones,
Oh,
GMO,
okay.
stuff
I
like
thought
that.
you were saying that something about the medicine was causing all these disease, and I'm like,
No, it's
actually
actually the stuff
dietary
it's
preferences.
actually the stuff that they're feeding them as their cattle. I mean, look at your chickens. They're bigger than they used to be. Cows are sometimes bigger than what they used to be, and you're eating that. That's got to be affecting you somehow.
Sure, but see, for me, it's not about my benefits. Like, even if flesh was like the miracle food, I still don't think it's right to take someone's life, you know, if I can eat and survive on something else. It's immoral just because it gives me a benefit. If they're not consenting, you shouldn't cross someone's bodily autonomy.
Okay. All right. I'm looking at that one. So I wrote some stuff down here so I can ask. I'm almost done.
Okay.
This one's a little silly. But I have to,
Okay.
in order to know if I can have a conversation with vegans, so we're doing a good job, I think. I just
Okay,
have to
good.
know the background. Are vegans anti-oil field? I know that sounds silly, but
Oil field. That
oil
one I don't
field.
know it has nothing to do with veganism because there's no, maybe they care about the environment, but veganism is specifically about exploitation, is about
Okay.
direct human exploitation. Go ahead, Lydia.
I would say probably maybe anti-oil companies if they are like eliminating indigenous lands and such, like
Yeah.
what is happening in the rainforest. So I'd say if like humans or like species of animals are being harmed in the clear cutting for oil fields and stuff,
Okay, that makes sense.
but I don't think inherently vegans are against oil usage.
Right.
All right, that makes sense. All right, that's basically all I got. I'm gonna go do a little research. I'm gonna watch that Dominion video, and thank you for having me.
Awesome. Yeah,
Thank you
absolutely.
for
You know
having
what? Come if I see you again, let me know what you thought about Dominion because I genuinely want to hear what
Yeah,
what
I
your thoughts
followed
are.
you, so I'll be able to see you again. All right,
All
thank
right,
you.
cool. Yeah, you have a great day.
Oh, and just to clarify, I am you're speaking to, and you probably don't even know it, but I used to hunt. That slowly went away. Um, that actually happened when my dog passed away.
Oh,
But
I'm sorry.
so I mean, I do come from aggressive background versus a vegan background. If that makes sense. So
Well, it sounds like you also come from a compassionate background if you had a dog companion.
yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And not only that, I do feel guilty when I do buy meats because like you see the brand names like Tyson and stuff, and you just wonder like what the animals went through. It's making my stomach sick to tell you the truth right now.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that's what it was. Is I had to watch what happens because I kept telling myself, there's humane methods, there's right ways to do it, and I had to go down that bunny trail to like learn for myself. But I'm just here to tell people to start doing that trail. Go look for it. You know, can you find the right way to exploit someone? I haven't found it.
Right. I appreciate you and thank you. I will be back.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for coming up.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.